There comes a moment in every life when you realize that nothing outside of you has the final authority. Not circumstances, not past failures, not even the opinions of others. There is only one power that shapes your world, and it has been with you all along. It is the voice within you. What if, from this very moment, every word you accepted inwardly began to mold your reality? What if your quiet inner speech was not harmless thinking, but a force that commands life itself? Then you would understand that you are not here to hope and wait, you are here to declare and receive. Tonight, you are invited to step into a deeper awareness, to recognize that your words are not empty. They are creative, they are formative, they are alive. And when you speak with conviction, with feeling, and with acceptance, reality has no choice but to follow. There is a quiet conversation happening within you every single moment of your life. It does not pause, it does not sleep, and it does not ask for your permission. This inner dialogue, so often unnoticed, holds more power than any external force you may believe in. It is the hidden architect of your experiences, the unseen hand shaping the circumstances of your world. Most people underestimate this inner speech because it feels ordinary, it feels harmless. They allow thoughts to pass through their minds without question, unaware that each thought carries creative power. But what you repeatedly say within yourself, especially when charged with feeling, becomes impressed upon your deeper mind. And once impressed, it must express itself in form. You may say, "This is just how life is," or "Things never work out for me," or "I am not capable." These are not idle statements. These are instructions. They are accepted as truth by your inner being, and in time, they harden into facts in your outer world. Not because the world is against you, but because your inner speech has quietly shaped it that way. But the moment you become aware of this, everything begins to change. You realize that you are not a victim of circumstance. You are the author of it. The inner voice you choose to believe becomes the script your life follows. And if that is true, then you have the power to rewrite the entire story. To change your reality, you must first change the way you speak within. Not occasionally, not when you feel like it, but consistently and deliberately. Begin to observe your thoughts. Listen to the silent conversations you have with yourself throughout the day. Notice how often they reflect doubt, fear, or limitation, and then gently but firmly redirect them. Instead of saying, "This is difficult," begin to say, "This is already resolved." Instead of thinking, "I am not enough," replace it with, "I am exactly who I need to be." These are not mere affirmations, they are new assumptions. And assumptions, when accepted, become reality. At first, it may feel unnatural. The mind may resist. It may try to pull you back into old patterns of thinking. But persistence is the key. What you repeat inwardly with feeling begins to feel familiar, and what feels familiar begins to feel true. And what feels true must eventually appear in your outer world. Understand this clearly. Your outer world is not creating your inner speech. Your inner speech is creating your outer world. The conditions you see around you are nothing more than reflections of what you have been consistently saying and believing within. So if you desire a new life, you must adopt a new voice. A voice that speaks from confidence, from certainty, from fulfillment. Not because you see it, but because you choose to accept it as real. Guard your inner conversations as you would guard something sacred. Do not allow doubt to take root. Do not entertain thoughts that contradict the life you wish to live. Speak inwardly as the person you desire to be, and in time you will become that person. For in the end, it is not the world that determines your reality. It is the voice within you that you choose to trust. There is a subtle but powerful difference between speaking from desire and speaking from fulfillment. And this difference determines whether your words create or merely wish. Most people live in a constant state of wanting. They say, I want success. I hope things get better. Or one day I will have what I desire. These statements may seem positive on the surface, but they carry a hidden message that what is desired is not yet here. And by continuously affirming that it is not here, they unknowingly keep it away. To speak from desire is to remain in separation. It is to acknowledge the absence of what you want and reinforce that absence with every word. But creation does not respond to longing, it responds to acceptance. The moment you shift from wanting something to being the one who already has it, everything begins to change. Speaking from fulfillment means you no longer identify as the person who is waiting. You become the person who has already received. Your inner speech changes from I will be successful to I am successful, not as a hopeful statement, but as a settled fact within your own consciousness. This shift is not about pretending or forcing belief. It is about choosing a new standpoint. Imagine climbing to the end of your desire and looking back at your life from that place. From that perspective, how would you speak? How would you think? What would feel natural to say about yourself and your world? When you adopt that perspective, your words begin to carry a different energy. They are no longer filled with effort or desperation. They become calm, certain, and grounded. There is no need to convince anyone, not even yourself. You are simply expressing what you have already accepted as true. The world may not immediately reflect this change, and that is where most people lose their faith. They look for evidence, and when they do not see it, they return to speaking from desire again. But the outer world is always delayed. It is a shadow of past assumptions. If you wait for it to change before you speak differently, you will remain trapped in the same cycle. Instead, you must remain faithful to your inner speech regardless of appearances. Speak as though it is done, even when your senses deny it. This is not denial of reality, it is the creation of a new one. When you consistently speak from fulfillment, something remarkable happens. Your inner state begins to stabilize. The feeling of already having what you desire becomes natural. And once it feels natural, it no longer feels like something you are trying to achieve. It feels like something that is simply part of who you are. At that point, the outer world must conform. It has no choice. Because reality is always reorganizing itself to match your dominant assumptions. So stop asking, stop waiting, stop hoping. These belong to the state of not having. Instead, begin declaring, accepting, and embodying. Speak from the end, not the beginning. You are not here to chase your desires. You are here to claim them. And the moment you speak as one who already possesses them, you move from longing into living. Speak as though it is yours, because in truth, it already is. Words by themselves are empty vessels. They carry no true creative force until they are filled with feeling. You may repeat a phrase 1,000 times, but if it is spoken without conviction, without emotional acceptance, it remains nothing more than sound. It does not impress the deeper mind, and therefore it does not manifest. What gives life to your words is not their repetition, but the feeling behind them. Feeling is the secret ingredient, the invisible force that turns a simple statement into a creative act. When you feel the reality of what you are saying, you move beyond imagination into acceptance. And acceptance is what shapes your world. Many attempt to change their lives through surface level affirmations. They say the right words, follow the right methods, and yet nothing seems to shift. Why? Because inwardly they still feel the absence of what they desire. Their words say one thing, but their feelings say another, and it is the feeling that always wins. If you say, I am successful, but deep within you feel doubt or inadequacy, It is that doubt which is being impressed upon your inner being. The outer world will not respond to the words you speak, but to the state you feel. This is why two people can say the exact same words and experience completely different outcomes. One feels it to be true, the other does not. So the question is not, what should I say? But rather, what do I feel when I say it? That is where your attention must go. For the moment your words are matched with genuine feeling, they become powerful. They become creative. They begin to shape reality in ways that cannot be stopped. To cultivate this feeling, you must go beyond logic and enter the realm of experience. Do not simply state your desire, experience it inwardly. Close your eyes and imagine what it would feel like if it were already true. Not in a distant future, but right now. Feel the relief, the satisfaction, the quiet confidence of already having it. Let that feeling become familiar. Let it settle within you until it no longer feels like something you are trying to achieve, but something that already belongs to you. From that state, speak your words. And when you do, you will notice a difference. They will no longer feel forced or mechanical. They will feel natural, effortless, and true. This is the point where creation begins. Not when you speak, but when you feel. Words are simply the expression. Feeling is the cause. And once a feeling is accepted as real, it must find expression in your outer world. It may not happen instantly, but it is inevitable. The world cannot resist a state that is consistently felt and accepted. So do not focus on saying more, focus on feeling more. One word spoken with deep conviction is far more powerful than endless repetition without belief. Allow your words to arise from a place of fulfillment. Let them be supported by the quiet, knowing that what you are declaring is already yours. And trust that what you feel to be true within will soon take shape without. For it is not your words alone that create, it is the feeling that gives them life. There is a habit so deeply rooted in human thinking that it often goes unquestioned. The habit of looking at present circumstances as if they are final, fixed, and unchangeable. People observe what is in front of them, accept it as truth, and then shape their thoughts and words around it. In doing so, they unknowingly bind themselves to the very conditions they wish to escape. But what you see in your current reality is not a permanent fact. It is not a final verdict on your life. It is only the visible result of past assumptions, past beliefs, and past inner conversations. It is a reflection, an echo, of what has already been accepted within you. And like any echo, it lingers for a time, even after the original sound has changed. This is where understanding becomes crucial. If your present world is the outpicturing of past inner speech, then reacting to it emotionally and mentally only sustains it. When you say, "This is my situation," and accept it as fixed, you are giving it new life. You are reaffirming it, strengthening it, and ensuring its continuation. To truly change your life, you must develop the ability to look at your current circumstances without being controlled by them. You must see them for what they are, temporary shadows of past thinking. They may appear solid, they may seem convincing, but they are not the source. You are the source. Ignoring present circumstances does not mean denying their existence or pretending they are not there. It means refusing to let them dictate your inner speech. It means choosing not to react in a way that reinforces them. Instead, you turn inward and remain faithful to the reality you wish to create. If your current situation shows lack, do not speak of lack. If it shows limitation, do not accept limitation as truth. Speak and feel from the state of abundance, of freedom, of fulfillment, even if there is no visible evidence yet. This is not blind belief, it is conscious creation. The challenge arises because the senses are persuasive. They present a version of reality that feels immediate and undeniable. But your senses only report what has already been created. They do not determine what will be created next. If you rely on them as your guide, you will always be reacting to the past. Instead, you must learn to trust your inner, knowing more than your outer seeing. You must become loyal to your chosen assumption, regardless of appearances. This is where true discipline lies, not in forcing change outwardly, but in maintaining inner stability when everything around you suggests otherwise. At first, this may feel unnatural. The mind will try to pull you back into reacting, into analyzing, into doubting. But with persistence, a shift begins to occur. You become less affected by what you see and more anchored in what you know to be true within. And as this inner shift solidifies, the outer world begins to respond. Slowly at first, and then more clearly, circumstances begin to change. Not because you fought them, but because you outgrew them. You no longer gave them the attention and belief they needed to survive. So do not be discouraged by what is currently in front of you. It is only a reflection of where you have been, not a limitation of where you can go. Keep your focus on your inner speech, your inner feeling, your chosen reality. For when you stop allowing present circumstances to define you, you begin to define them. Every desire you have carries within it a hidden identity. It is not just something you want to experience. It is a version of yourself you are being called to become. The mistake most people make is that they focus entirely on the desire itself while remaining identified with the person who does not yet have it. They try to attract success while still seeing themselves as unsuccessful. They seek confidence while still believing they are insecure. And in doing so, they create a division within themselves that delays the very thing they long for. To transform your reality, you must go deeper than the desire. You must assume the identity of the one who already has it. Because it is not the desire that manifests, it is the state of being behind it. Life does not respond to what you want, it responds to who you believe you are. If you desire abundance, the question is not, how do I get more? But who am I when I have more? If you desire love, do not ask, when will it come? But rather, who am I as one who is already loved? This shift moves you from chasing something external to embodying something internal. Assuming a new identity is not about acting differently on the surface. It is about thinking, feeling, and perceiving from a new center. It is an inward transformation. You begin to carry yourself mentally as the person you wish to be. Your inner speech changes, your reactions change, your expectations change, not because you are forcing them, but because they naturally align with who you have decided to become. At first, this may feel unfamiliar. You may feel as though you are stepping into a role that is not yet yours. But this is only because you have been identified with your old self for so long. That old identity was also built through repetition and acceptance. It was not fixed, it was formed. And anything that is formed can be reformed. The key is consistency. You must repeatedly return to the feeling of being the new person, especially when the outer world tempts you to fall back into old patterns. When doubt arises, do not fight it. Simply return to your chosen identity. Remind yourself, not with effort but with quiet certainty, this is who I am now. As you persist in this assumption, something begins to shift. The new identity starts to feel natural. It no longer feels like something you are trying to maintain. It becomes your default way of being. And when it reaches that point, manifestation becomes effortless. Your outer world has no choice but to reflect who you are. Not who you wish to be, not who you were, but who you consistently assume yourself to be now. Opportunities begin to appear, behaviors begin to change, and circumstances begin to align, not because you chased them, but because they are a natural extension of your new identity. So do not remain attached to the version of yourself that created your current reality. You are not bound to it. You have the ability to choose again, to redefine yourself at the deepest level. Become the person for whom your desire is normal. Think from that state. Feel from that state. Live inwardly from that state. For when you change who you are, you change what you experience. You have heard the truth. Simple yet profound, the life you experience is shaped by the voice you trust within. Not by chance, not by fate, but by the words you accept as real in your own consciousness. If you leave here with one understanding, let it be this: do not take your inner speech lightly. Every assumption, every quiet statement, every belief you repeat is building your tomorrow. So choose deliberately, speak lovingly, speak boldly, and most of all, speak as though your desire is already fulfilled. There is no power outside of you that can deny what you have fully accepted within. The moment you align your words with the feeling of fulfillment, the world must reflect it. It is law. So go forward with a new awareness. Guard your inner conversations. Let them reflect the life you choose, not the life you fear. And watch as reality reshapes itself to mirror your spoken truth. Thank you for giving your attention to this message. If even one idea has stirred something within you, hold on to it. Apply it. Test it in your own life, for this is not theory. It is something to be experienced. Carry this awareness with you, and let your words become the creators of your world.